Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode here at SkyTech Credit Solutions. And I want to talk to you today about basically the beginning. So, as you know, this is a channel that kind of focuses on credit and finances and how we can have our financial system work for us rather than against us. So in this episode, I want to kind of take us all the way back to the beginning and get kind of a little bit of a history lesson about credit and credit reporting. So credit began many years ago. It is probably as old as the cavemen. People borrowing from each other is basically what it came down to. The whole financial system, as long as people owed, or as long as people could buy things or trade things, barter, whatever, there was some sort of a credit system within place. I'm gonna give you this and you're gonna owe me that somehow. So, but the problem is that they figured out is that back then, and even today, in fact, they couldn't walk into a village and look at somebody and really tell if they had money or not. Especially in today's society where we've got, trying to keep up with our neighbors. Our neighbor has this, so I'm going to get this as well, making ourselves look good, or if not better than our neighbors or the people that we associate with. We want to make our status look better sometimes than it actually is. So back then it was no exception. So if I was living back in those times and somebody came to me and they were well dressed and they needed to borrow some money from me, then I could use my own judgment and give them a certain amount of money and tell them how much interest I was going to charge them. And back then, back in the Babylonian times, they had the law of Hammurabi. If I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it basically it laid out how much interest they were allowed to charge on a particular note. So anyway, so somebody comes to me, they want to borrow money from me, so I make that decision based on what I know of that person. Now, I could call somebody else that I know. When I say call, I mean go over to them, because back then obviously they didn't have phones. I could go to somebody that I knew that they had dealings with in the past and ask them, hey, is this person reliable? Are they going to pay me back the money essentially that I lend to them? And then based on the information that they give me, I can make the decision of whether or not to lend them money. So jumping ahead a little bit, in England now, there were some English tailors that decided that they were going to start gathering information on people. So somebody would come into a shop to get some clothes, and the tailor would take down their information if they lend them money. So if they lend them money, they put down what the money or how much money was, interest, and then they started keeping a history of of whether or not they're paying back. And there were several tailors in England that were doing this, and they were comparing notes and passing it around and helping each other understand the credit of each one of their customers. So that worked for a while, of course, and then after a while, they needed some other system. And so now jumping ahead, actually in America, there was a group in I believe it was 1898 or 1899. A group of individuals in Atlanta, Georgia, got together and they formed the first, what's considered the modern credit bureau, or the modern credit reporting company. And what they were able to do with this is that people around, merchants around the country, which at that time was basically the East Coast and a bit west, but not too far, they would send letters to this bureau, this group of this organization that was collecting information, and they were taking the notes that they would have on people, and they would keep track of who was paying and who wasn't. And then if somebody else needed to lend money to somebody that they didn't know, then they would reach out to this early credit company that was keeping track of this, and they would ask them, how how is this person? Do you have a record on this person? And then after a while, they started they formed at that time what is now has become the credit bureau called Equifax, which is one of the 4 major credit bureaus there in South Africa. The other 3 include TransUnion. Actually, I'm sorry, that was Experian, not Equifax. So Experian, TransUnion, CompuScan, and XDS. So those are the 4 main credit company or credit reporting bureaus there in South Africa. So obviously, just like I was saying, the point of a credit bureau is that they gather information on everybody that's within their jurisdiction. Essentially, in your case, within South Africa, they gather all this information and they put it together in a file, and then they start ranking people based on a score. And the score is subject just for the individual that they're rating on, or they're ranking this information on. So, for example, you watching this here, you can contact any of these 4 credit bureaus, and you can ask them for your credit file. And once a year, they have to give you a credit file. So they'll send you the credit file, and you can look over it, and everything that anybody has reported is in that file. So now, obviously, back in the 1800s, they didn't have the electronic means to be able to do the recording, to record things like this, but now they do. So now it's a lot easier for a company in one part of the country to be able to report to a credit bureau that may be headquartered in a separate part of the country, or even headquartered in another part of the world. As I know, TransUnion and Experian are both in other parts of the world rather than South Africa. So the point is that these companies, these credit bureaus, they have information on you. Now, here's the thing, is you walk into a car dealership and you want to purchase a car. So you need to get a car note, a loan on that car. So what they're going to do is the car dealership, they're going to reach out to whichever credit bureau that they do business with the most. It could be any one of those 4, or it could be all 4 of them. They reach out and they find out what's on your credit. If you have a history of not paying your bills, then one of 2 things could happen. They can deny you credit and you leave without the car that you need, or they can charge you an extremely high interest rate. Either way, they're going to do what they can to protect their interest. Now, here's the kicker for this. Every time that a dealership pulls your credit, the dealership will get charged money for that. So the credit bureau will charge them money to look at your information, to look at the file that they're holding on you. Anytime, let's say that you go and get the loan, and the credit bureau then receives information that car dealership gave you a loan, right? So now you have a car dealership or a bank or whatever gives you a loan, and the credit bureau now takes that information, and when that information comes to them, they turn around and charge the company that gives them that information. So basically what it comes down to is that they get money for a transaction either way. So now the fact that they're getting money for information they receive and information that they give, all focused on you want to make sure that your information within the credit file is correct, especially if somebody's paying for that information. Like I said, you're entitled to 1 free credit report every year, but if you go beyond that, then you have to pay for it. So again, now you're paying for your own information, which you want to make sure is correct if you're paying for it. So in future videos, we're going to talk about how you can look at your credit report and actually make sure that it's correct, so the information that's being paid for and being bought is correct information. So I think that this was a really good rundown, kind of an introduction to what a credit bureau is. Again, the 4 main credit bureaus in South Africa: Experian, TransUnion, CompuScan, and XDS. I am going to be doing some research on those 3 companies. I am very familiar with Experian and TransUnion and how they do business in the United States, because they are 2 of our 3. We have 3 major credit bureaus here, and I am not familiar with CompuScan or XDS, but I will do some research and do a video later on each one of these companies and talk a little bit about kind of some of their services and what they can do to help you, and what you can do to use them as a way to increase your potential of getting a loan, and or getting a loan at a low interest rate. So if you like this video, if you like the information, please like and share the video. Hit the little bell icon on the screen so that you can make sure that you get alerts anytime I post a video. I try to post videos about every 4 days, and I'm hoping to get definitely some more out there. The next video that I plan to do is talking about the different kinds of credit that are available out there, and how each one of those credits are going to affect your buying power in the marketplace. All right, so thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.